How to practice your chords. Now you would have noticed I am not going into any music just yet, what the chords look like and how any of that. These are really beginner, kind of get all the basics done kind of thing. You can find all the chord sheets and all that stuff. We will get to them, but you can find them online. What I'm trying to do, as I've said since the start of the series, is to just give you some hints and tips to help you progress a little bit faster, to try and make sure you don't pick up any weird habits, and to answer those questions that I believe you might have, because I had them and only know them later on in playing guitar gear. So how do I practice my chords? So I'm going to show you some chords just for sake of argument here, but you will find these yourself. So what is really important with practicing chords is that it's kind of like doing exercises. When you're starting to go to the gym, you're not trying to be as fast and have the same weights as everybody else. What you're trying to do is you're trying to take every single exercise that you're doing and you're doing them properly. You might do less, but you're doing them properly. So what I mean by that is, if you're pressing, if you're fretting an E chord, you want to hear that E chord properly from start to finish, from the top string to the bottom string. So it is pointless to say, okay, I know my E and my A and I'm going to see how fast I can go in between them. That's going to come kind of by itself over time. What is more important is that every time you do fret them, every string rings the way it should. And the way you do that is to make sure that your fingers are comfortable, pressing down firmly, not too hard, and that every finger is just behind the fret. So if I'm going to press the 3rd fret, I'm trying not to be over here. I try to be just behind the fret. So with every single one in the beginning, that's what you practice. Am I fretting everything properly? If I'm playing an E, is my top E, if I'm playing a D, is my top E muted? Or is it open? And does it sound funny? And this is why I want to go back into things without any kind of music theory and chords and shit just yet. It is all about understanding all the basics. That's why I went through in the beginning about what kind of guitar, making sure you get a nice, comfortable guitar that works well. It doesn't have to be super expensive. Stay away from overly cheap stuff. Make sure everything works. Because if you've got a really bad guitar with really poor action, getting this right is a pain in the arse. And some people will argue, if you can play on these shitty high fretted things, high action things, then you can play on a good one later on. I think that's bullshit, and it's kind of like just saying, I had to put up with a shit cheap guitar once. Everybody does. I don't think it's necessary anymore. I think it might have been true, but we don't have to do that anymore. You can get really decent stuff for decent price, and there's enough information, and I'm going to try and give enough information about how to make sure that your equipment is decent. It's not going to be, Joe Satriani, but it'll be decent. So that things like the basic things like being able to fret your chords properly, making sure that your frets are smooth, all these kind of things are actually done, and it's not a big secret. It doesn't have to be difficult. So when you're practicing your chords, you practice all of them, and you slowly but surely go through them. And you chop and change from which chord you go to the next one. But the key is not to do the changes. The key is to every time go to a position, a finger position, that rings out the chord perfectly. So if I want to go from E to G, to the horrible F. I still can't do an F properly, but that's because my fingers are skinny and I literally can't fret properly with a finger. Well, that wasn't bad. Now again, this is a little trick. F is actually like that, but I like to play it. It makes it easier to think about because it actually... So I implement a few cheats, and you will probably implement a few cheats, and other people will show you cheats as well, and there's nothing wrong with cheats. As long as it sounds good and convincing, there's no problem. And at the end of the day, an F is an F. So again, take your chords, practice them, go from E to F to D to C to D to G, from G back to F. Do that all, getting your muscle memory in there. But the important piece is not to change or change quickly. The important piece is to change accurately. The quickness will come later, the feeling will come later, the musicality behind it will come later. At first, it's important that every single string, and in this case, and that is my 2 pence for today. Thank you very much.